But the domain of being is the you who you've always been. The you who hasn't grown up and hasn't grown down. The you that's not immature or mature. The you who's not an adult or a child or an adolescent. The you that you really, really are. And there's an intuition. Far before there's any awakening, far before there's any enlightenment, anybody, anywhere, if they get out of their minds for half a second, there's an intuition of always being themselves. Have you had the sense that you've always been yourself? Maybe not the self you think about, but there's just a sense that you've always been yourself. This is the intuition that's coming from being. Or in Zen we would call it emptiness. Because being is empty of content, it's empty of images, it's empty of self-references. It's something without form, without a particular attribute. So that's being. And really, when we awaken, we are immediately introduced, reintroduced, remembered, realized this being. That's what wakes up, is being. Not the me-go that's trying to awaken and making lots of effort and trying to figure everything out, and not the ego that may even be listening to my words thinking, I wonder what those mean. Like you were listening to some college discourse and you were looking for the meaning. That's what the egoic mind does. But awakening is essentially realizing that underneath that, underneath the exterior of that, the image you present to other people, underneath that image, underneath the image you present to yourself of who you are, underneath that image is being worn by being, by a pure and radiant and awake emptiness. And that's the dimension of awakening, that's the dimension of being. And in that dimension it's not dominated by thought, by images, by belief structures, by opinions, by all the rest. It's not seeking, it's not trying to attain. It doesn't see things as separate. From the dimension of being, there's also the sense and the knowing that everything is also this being. Behind every pair of eyes you'll ever meet is actually being. And the same being, the same pure being, that same awake emptiness. No matter who you look at, no matter what the exterior is, it's just being. Right behind the veil that we present to each other. And that is the dimension of being. That's the dimension of awakening. That's the dimension of enlightenment. You've probably heard many times, it's been said for hundreds of years, in many different traditions, die before you die so that you may truly live. In Zen they call it the great death. Very dramatic, the great death. I think sometimes these kind of phrases over-dramatize things a bit. You don't want to ruffle the me up too much. If you start talking about its death and its demise and its disillusion and all that, it gets very anxious, and it's hard for it to see beyond itself when it's very anxious. But they're pointing to something. They're just basically these kind of sayings of die while you're alive so you can truly live. It's just a way of saying, let go of one way of perceiving things. Let go of the exterior of you. And automatically your consciousness will transfer over to the being. And when it transfers over to the being, there's true life. There's true life, what Buddha called nirvana, what Jesus called the kingdom of heaven. Same thing. Nirvana's not over there, and it sure as hell isn't in another lifetime, or another dimension, or anywhere else. Neither is heaven. Heaven's not up in the clouds somewhere. That's like childish nonsense, but it's an insult, because children know better than that. Till we convince them otherwise. Children are living in a type of heaven until we come and convince them that they're not. It's not another place, it's not another time, it's not another anything. It's actually right here, right now, perceived in an undistorted way. First, seeing yourself in an undistorted way. But it's funny, when you see yourself in an undistorted way, there's suddenly not much to see. Which is the beauty of it. That's the beauty. Then you don't have to go around pretending to be somebody. Everybody else will do that for you. Right? Like, everybody will say, oh, I'm just a spiritual teacher. And then they'll see me in a particular way, and they'll project certain things, and they'll make me out to be something other than what they are. So I always say, you don't even have to try to be anybody, because everyone will do it for you. It won't be the truth. It's just an idea. It doesn't matter if the idea is in your mind or in everybody else's mind. It's still just an idea. It's still not what you are. It's not what we are. So while you may, and often this introduction to the dimension of simple being can come suddenly. Even if it does come suddenly, it's actually relatively rare that there's a total abidance in the dimension of being instantaneously for once and for all. Sometimes it works that way, but often there's a taste of being, or an awakening to that it's there to begin with, or that it's what you actually are. Followed by a temporary slip. How can we say slip? Yeah, slip. Back into thinking you're somebody. Only to remember the being again. Only to slip a little bit. Only to remember. And then gradually, every once in a while suddenly, but gradually and suddenly, it becomes more rooted in being. And so this is the transition. And the transition, although I've talked about it many, many, many times in many, many different ways, it's actually something very simple. It may not feel simple at times, but it's in the essence of it, the deepest, most simple essence of it is transitioning out of adherence to your mind. That's it. It doesn't mean your mind has to stop functioning, or you'll never have a thought again, or any of that nonsense. It means not perceiving through your mind, and not looking to your mind to tell you what is true. Not looking at your mind to tell you who you are. Not looking at your mind to tell you who they are, or what the world is.